Hi, I'm Jane from Poppy Patchwork, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to make Aunt Vinah's favourite quilt block. I've drawn the block out in my Quilt Block notebook, and I've written out all the measurements. In this book you will get lots of blank pages, and I find it really useful for calculating the size of my pieces for the block. The odd and even Quilt Block notebooks are available to buy from Amazon. Scan the QR code to visit Amazon. I've just released my new book, The Quilter's Quick Reference Guide, with your favourite cutting charts and step-by-step instructions. The cutting charts include half square triangles, quarter square triangles, split square triangles, flying geese, corner squares, economy squares, half rectangle triangles and cat's cradle. Plus step-by-step instructions for making and trimming your units. Buy your copy today. Scan this QR code or click the link in the description. Now, let's get quilting. So we're going to start by making the corner square unit in the centre of the block. And for this we're going to need the small square in A and the 4 small squares in B. And the other fabrics I'm going to put to one side. So what we need to do is draw a diagonal line on the wrong side of the small squares. And now I'm going to place one of these small squares in the corner of a large square, right sides together, with the diagonal line running from the centre points of the large square. I'm going to pin that in place. I'm then going to place another square in the opposite corner, and again the diagonal is running from the centre points of the large square. I'm going to take that over to the sewing machine and you sew on top of the drawn line, but I'm actually going to sew just a little bit to the side of the drawn line so that when I flip this one back it's got enough space it will flip nicely into the corner. So as I say, I'm going to take that to the sewing machine and sew just a little bit to the side of the drawn line. I'm now going to remove the pins and cut a 1/4 inch away from the sewn line. And now I'm going to set and press the seam. And I'm going to press it towards the small triangle. And now I'm going to pin a square in one of the remaining corners. And again, the diagonal line needs to run from the centre of the larger squares. And I'm going to place the final square in the final corner. So I'm going to return to the sewing machine and sew on top of the drawn line. I'm going to remove the pins and then I'm going to cut 1/4 inch away from that sewn line. And now I'm going to press the seams. So I'm going to set that piece to one side, and we're now ready to make the half square triangles. So for the half square triangles, you need the next size up in the squares in fabrics A and B, and I'm going to draw a diagonal line on the wrong side of the lighter fabrics. Now I'm going to place these right sides together with the other fabric. Pin them in place, and then when I go to sewing machine, I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch seam on both sides of the drawn line. I'm now going to remove the pins and cut along the drawn line. Now I'm going to use my preferred method to trim these half square triangles, and that is to use the 6.5 inch triangle square up ruler by Quilt in a Day. You'll need to trim your half square triangles using your preferred method, and if you want to right mouse click on the link above, it will take you to my video on how to trim half square triangles with a standard ruler. I'm now going to set and press these seams, and I'm going to press the fabric towards the darker fabric. I'm now going to clip the dog ears off and set these to one side. So to make the 1/4 square triangles, we've got 6 squares in fabric A and 6 squares in fabric B, and we have 2 squares in the background fabric. So I'm going to put 4 of fabric A and fabric D to one side. I'm now going to draw a diagonal line on the wrong side of the background fabric. And now I'm going to pin them right sides together with the other fabrics. And when I take these over to the sewing machine, I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch seam on both sides of the drawn line. I'm now going to remove the pins and then cut along the drawn line. I'm now going to set and press the seams. And I'm going to press them towards the darker fabric. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to draw a diagonal line on the wrong side of these half square triangles, and it's going to come across this stitched line. So now I'm going to join these right sides together with the same fabric. So we've got half square triangles here, and this one's with the purple fabric, and I'm going to place these two together. And when I take these to the sewing machine, I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch seam on both sides of the drawn line. I'm now going to remove the pins and then cut along the drawn line. I'm now going to trim these 1/4 square triangles using my preferred method, which is using the 6.5 inch triangle square up ruler with Quilt in a Day. You will need to trim your 1/4 square triangles using your preferred method, and if you want to right mouse click on the link above, it will take you to my video on how to trim 1/4 square triangles with a standard ruler. I'm now going to set and press the seams. And I'm going to press towards the larger triangle. So I'm going to clip the dog ears off, and then we'll be ready for block layout. So I've laid these all out in block layout, and the larger triangles are going out into the corners of these 4 patches. So need to pin these together to sew them into 4 patches. I'll start by pinning these pairs together. Now both of these have been pressed towards the larger triangle, so I'm just going to flip one of the seams so that they nest. I'm just going to put that back here because I need to make sure it is exactly correct when I put it together. So we're joining along here. I'm going to sew those with a 1/4 inch seam. So I'm going to set the seams and press them open. And now these are going to be sewn together in pairs. So I press the seams open, so now I'm going to use a positioning pin technique to match the points. And if you want to right mouse click on the link above, it will take you to my video on how to get perfect points in your blocks. So I'm going to sew those with a 1/4 inch seam. So I've returned these to block layout, and now I'm going to sew together like a 9 patch. So I'm going to sew these in pairs and then pop these along the bottom of the columns. So this one we've got to match the points. So I'm going to take these to the sewing machine and sew with a 1/4 inch seam. So I've returned everything to block layout, and I can immediately see that I've sewn this in correctly. So I'm going to fix that, and then I'm going to pin and sew these bottom pieces onto the columns. So I've given those seams a press and returned to block layout, and now I'm going to sew this column to the centre and then this column to the centre. So I'm going to sew those seams with a 1/4 inch seam. So I've sewn those seams and I've given the block a good press. So congratulations, you have made Aunt Vinah's favourite quilt block. I hope you've enjoyed these videos, and thank you very much for all your support by downloading my patterns and buying my books. Bye for now and happy quilting!